Hello and welcome to the AI Digest. My name is Joaquin Melara and I'm your host. With me today is Amy Raygada. Amy, it's a great pleasure to have you. I'd love to, I'd love to hear where you're calling from.
Thanks so much for having me, Joaquin. It's a pleasure to be here today to talk about one of the topics I'm more passionate about, which is data governance and strategy. And I'm originally from Costa Rica. I've been in Europe for 6 years now, and I've been working first as a software engineer, and then I moved like around 10 years ago into the data landscape. I have work as data engineer, data quality engineer, business analyst, BI business analyst. And then I moved some years ago to the data product management landscape. And then that title actually was never my job. It was more data strategies and data governance, because I remember I just had maybe like one project, which was cloud migration. And then it was about to implement processes and improve things. So it's something that I thoroughly enjoy. And since I'm a quality person, this topic goes hand by hand. And I became kind of the preacher of data governance now.
I like that. I mean, you just answered my next three questions, but I like that you said that you came from the world of software. Obviously, you saw that there were mistakes that were made procedurally, and then you said you were involved with requirement collection and kind of defining what's the next step and the roadmap with business analysis and QA. You kind of have to have a full understanding of what a piece of software is supposed to do and ensure that it meets the specifications and expectations of the users. So I can see like, oh, I built the thing, I made sure that the thing wasn't broken, and then I started to see the bigger picture. So you have like full empathy to the value creators and the people that are involved in all aspects of this value chain. I think that
Yeah.
gives you a much richer perspective of what you're doing in data governance.
Exactly. And for me, it's quite important to be a bridge in between the technical and non-technical people, because when I work as a quality software engineer as well, I was always translating at the end of the day, what the business wanted, what the customer wanted, usability, these kind of things versus what the developers were doing. And you find always this discrepancy, right? And there's no one who translates it, not even the POs, not even the scrum master, or whoever is managing the project. There's always this kind of issue. And that's why I decided to move into more on the product side, because I thought, okay, I already did some changes on the other side, but I think I can create more impact when you're able to speak with your stakeholders, understand the needs, and then also speak to the developers in a way that they will understand what they want, right? It's just about this kind of synergy in between them, and being this catalyze all this synergy there, basically.
No, I love that quality mind first, and also playing this role of interpreter. I mean, all these different functions in an organization have different motivations, different ways that they're measured in terms of their effectiveness, performance, but they have to play together to make a usable, accessible, profitable product, right? Otherwise, it's people are pulling in different directions and they cause more rework and problems for themselves than they would otherwise be creating value in the marketplace.
Exactly.
Um, so you're currently a senior data solution and integration manager at Beva. Uh,
Yes.
Beva. Okay.
It's a green tech energy. I will start next week. So I'm about to start there, and actually I will do what I've been doing already for the last years, to bring data mesh to life, data governance, and to basically get the right use cases to get support top down instead of bottom up, because they have done it already bottom up and it's working in a way, but there's still a lot of lack of support in how things are going to get done. So since I have experience and all this, they wanted to hire me just to help them to bring the data platform team and the organization to the next level.
Sounds exciting.
Yeah.
Um, and you said earlier you're based out of Leipzig, Germany.
Yeah, I'm in Leipzig, Germany. It's like 1 hour from Berlin.
Okay. I'm blown away. You have a strong track record, more than a decade long of driving business success, from strategy to implementation, and making sure that everything's in alignment with the business vision, business priorities. To me, it just sounds like you have a good idea of where value is created, captured, and shown. If you don't do all those three things, business won't adopt these initiatives. So I think, as you said, you're an interpreter, you're a translator, you're a multilingual, not only Spanish, English, and German, but multilingual in technical, business, and operational. So
Yeah, I
very.
think it's quite important, because what I have seen through the years, it's that when a product owner, a product manager, or your business stakeholders, they cannot really understand what the developers want, and vice versa. There's usually this miscommunication, and at the end, there's always, like a fight, or why the data team did this, or why the software engineering team did that. We are late, did this and that, but things were not specified correctly, right? And I think that maybe you, as a product manager, you don't have to be super techy, but at least you need to understand what are you working with, and maybe not be a coder, but at least to understand what's going on there, or how the functionality needs to be done, not only on the business side, but also on the back end. Because sometimes I remember they will ask for something super like, you cannot do that. I mean, that technology doesn't even exist, but they are like, I need it, I want it, do it, right? And they don't understand these capabilities from the developers, what they can do and what they will like, right? And this creates a lot of problems and tractions, and people get demotivated, and also attrition in the different teams because they feel pressure for things that cannot be done. So this is something that I think that needs to be in consideration for someone who would like to pursue a career, for example, in project management, data product management, even, because you need to understand, for example, what is a data product, how does it work. You don't need to be super fluent in SQL, but at least to understand a little bit if you want to pull up a quick select, for example, just to see the data set or something.
Yeah, I think you're talking about a very important problem here. Even if you're not involved in the technical implementation details, how things are done, you should be involved in the what and why, and you should be empathetic and aware of the workflows and the back end fulfillment of the things that need to get done. I think that helps to build better roadmaps, scope out work in more reasonable chunks, and it reduces this expectation setting between both sides. Because if business
Mhm.
keeps demanding uh, unreasonable things consistently, at some point, the fulfillment, the technical side will either get burned out or just say agree and continue to under deliver, and or maybe compromise the quality or functionality of the product. So it doesn't help anybody that the business thinks that they're driving, and they have if they have no empathy to drive within a common point with both business and technical capability.
Exactly.
So yeah, educate me, please. Tell me, what is data governance? I mean, you're an expert in this field, and you've gone through all layers of data. So what does it mean to govern it?
Oof, that's a tough question because it's many components, right? So let's say for me, it's in a simple words, it's divided in two sides. You have a beautiful data platform that have a lot of automation, like in data mesh, federated governance, right? Where you have, for example, automated crawling to check which data sets are being used, if they have PII, if they needed to be deleted, for example, if projects are redundant, or if they are duplicated, or if they need to delete. So that generates cost savings, which is already something that you can sell to the C-level when you need to get a little bit more of a sponsorship, right? Also to provide, processes. For example, if you're doing a streaming what kind of tools you can get from to be able from the platform, to be able to do more streaming or batch processing or machine learning, AI, these kind of things, So there should be like this data platform that provides that. And usually the data platform team is the one that is kind of the center of excellence, or this kind of provider of these best practices in the technical perspective. But also it's not only that, because data governance is such a technical topic as well. And this is the most difficult part, because, if you have a good architect, you will get your data architecture like this. Very nice. There is a lot of tools in the market. You can understand which ones are needed depending on your use case, on your business. If you are, like, for example, in the company where I was before, we were like 4 business units, all of them working slightly different, and some of them even in other platform, right? And you need to put some kind of processes on top that not everybody will like to follow, and you need to sell this in a way. So that's why I call myself like a preacher. I go with my Bible of data governance. Hey, knocking doors, people close on my face, I feel like totally related with these guys that goes on Sundays, knocking doors. So it's difficult because you get close a lot of doors in your face. But when you get someone who really listens to you, and then they are happy with the result, you get a new advocate, right? And then they are going to advocate for you. So the other part, the social technical side of data governance, is having a clear data owner, someone that says, it doesn't matter if it's technical or not, because we have different type of data, right? So we have, for example, the owners of the backend data that basically we are streaming into the data warehouse. So there is one type of data owner, which is a technical one, but from backend. In my experience, they don't want to be tagged like, hey, Joaquin, you are the one owning this because you are from the backend. No, they would like to have, for example, I want the software engineering team to own it as a head or director. If something happens, then I can tell you, I don't know, Amy is the one owning this API, so she can help you, because people moves, people come and go. If you put the finger on one person, maybe that person is no longer in the company. Who would you find who was the manager? And then you lost track of this data, right? Then, for example, from the pipeline perspective, this data enter into the data warehouse. Who should own it? Well, I will say this could be even 2 or 3 people owning that, but should be pointed to someone, which means if you have a domain-driven architecture, it will be about, okay, the domain will own it. And usually is one data product owner, one data engineer, then you have, BI developer, data analyst, machine learning engineer, whatever you have. But usually the data product owner is the one who is able to communicate, and also the data engineer, because he created that pipeline. So these 2 people, will be nice to be the owners there, for example. And then you have people who owns a dashboard, for example. I call it not data product, because it's a data product is kind of a curated data set, but more data asset derived out of it. So let's say a CSV, a dashboard, a model for machine learning or something like that, right? These also needs to be owned. But there also we have another layer, which are metrics. Who needs to own these metrics, right? So we have BI people. It's, again, another thing that you do in between. So you have business people who knows how to calculate leads or revenue, or I don't know, NPS or attrition for the HR manager or whatever, right? So who knows how to do this calculation? The business people. I can do it myself, but maybe my interpretation of these metrics is completely off. And that's where you need to put these boundaries, right? Me as a data engineer, I say, okay, I calculate revenue like this. And they will say there is an error. This is not working. So that's where you put the owner here, and this owner needs to define this metric, bring all the information. How do you calculate it? Even provide you with business tests, so you have deviations, you have numbers, you have things, and then you put this as a data engineer in the pipeline, right, and in the model, and then they will get high quality. But they are the ones who needs to collaborate with you. Otherwise, you have no crystal ball here, right, to find out these things. Another part of data governance is privacy. and it's things like PII, GDPR in Europe, for example, that needs to be taken care of with a lot of processes, ownership as well, access control that you can automate on the platform as well. But you need to set up these processes first in written, right? So people understand how it works. So it's more about to make people conscious that this data exists, that they can access it, to have a data catalog, for example. And in this data catalog, me as a business analyst that I don't know anything about Python, SQL, or metrics or anything, I can go there, explore, and understand. And then I say, oh yeah, I think I need this actually to do some calculation or to create a new dashboard. And then you can have your self-service analytic. But all this is connected to metadata and things that we can do on the platform, plus all the mental work. But I call myself even a psychologist sometimes, because you need to hear people, mostly hear. It's about hearing people, not you selling the idea. When you hear them, you understand what are the biggest problems for them, and then you can find a way to sneak in with your data governance Bible and bring solutions, and they will be more than happy to see if it's possible for that be solved. And if it's solved, they will be like, okay, another team will say, I also want that because I don't have it. And that's my own experience with some teams that I had in the past. So it's a lot. I know I gave you a really long answer, but it's kind of chunk into pieces.
I just want to say, is that all you do? No, bad joke. That's you're a socio technical architect. You are managing these different layers of the organization's expectations. You're getting buy-in in different areas and trying to spread organically across these different ways to centralize some procedures and create a unified platform that helps you federate that access to that data, right? I mean, you cannot, like, people can't reasonably think that everything can be centralized and you can do from one perspective everything. Business units and groups of people that work in and outside of a business create their own subculture, create their own sets of needs, create their own views of the world, and have different priorities. So you need to have access to that central repository, but they need to negotiate with it in their own terms, and then they need to configure to some sort of standard so that it makes it easy for everybody to play with the same kind of rules, right?
Yeah, but that's the hard part, right? Because from my own experience, in this case, each business unit have their own director, and all of them have their own ideas. So I'm like, hi, I'm from the data platform team. We want to help you. We have these new processes. You want to adopt it? We're, hey, I don't need that. I don't want it. We do it differently. Bye. So this was the first reaction. Of course, people is resistant. They have their own like house built in a way, and they don't want intruders to get there and try to see what's wrong. So one of the hardest part is like, okay, we build up all these processes, but then we give like free will for them to use it. So it's like, hey, look, I know your difference, your scenarios or your needs might be different, but here is like a general guide, and if it works for you, you can just adapt it. But here. And also, how are you doing it? I'm interested in how you're doing things now, because maybe I can improve my own process to listening to what you're doing. I would love to do that as well. And they, oh yeah, look this, and they start talking to you and telling you, oh cool, well look, we do this and this, what do you think? Oh yeah, actually will be a nice add-on. And then that's how it's a chess game, right? You have to start moving your pieces, getting some applicates, throwing the things that you don't need anymore, and just building up these bridges, these connections. But I think that's one of the most difficult part to work in data governance, because you really need to learn how to play the Game of Thrones, and basically to communicate in a simple way. But this way needs to be convincing, but without push them. So it's kind of a push and pull, listen to them.
You're consulting internally. I mean, that's what you're trying to do. You're trying
Exactly.
to strategically
I'm an internal
build
consultant.
your allies and build a coalition and get buy-in.
Exactly.
you can't shove this down people's throats. They'll slam the door and lock the door, and oh my god, Amy's coming again. Can we just call the cops? Like, no, you need to sneak honey with the medicine, or the medicine with the honey, or whatever visual you want to do, because you are helping them. You are giving them things that they don't know, helping to transition from the current state to a better future state that benefits everybody rather than
Mhm.
their own group. Um, I want to distangle a few terms: governance, strategy, and tactics and execution. I think that's a helpful way to frame the remainder of this conversation. Because governance is such a heavy word, and you said even that in itself is filled with different components.
Yeah, I mean, um, strategy is totally different than data governance, because data strategy is what you would like to get as could be revenue, could be internal features for other teams, could be just something that is aligned with the needs of X, Y, Z. And you build this, I mean, generally the best practices will say with whatever your company would like to have in their OKRs or whatever they are doing, right? Sometimes companies, they don't have that. They just let, like in our case, the business units can create their own OKRs. So it's kind of difficult to understand what they want. So for us to grow as a data platform team and have more traction, my director, he's quite good, on these negotiation and these kind of things. We started to look for use cases that will impact directly the C-level. So actually, I read in one of the books, building the data, building the management pipeline, I think it is. I have it here somewhere, and they say that one of the most the best allies that you can find in an organization to move forward with initiatives, either is software engineering, I mean in general, in tech, it's teaming up with the CFO and the COO. And why? Because the CFO, for example, we save with some initiatives we have in the data platform, exactly, we save 200,000 Swiss francs by deleting projects, redundant projects, data sets, all the storage from the cloud.
Cutting the waste.
Yeah, exactly. And then he was like, "Oh, I need more of this. What else can we do to save money?" And he was so excited that he will be like, "Okay, let's build this. Can you connect with the finance team, because they have some data, but it's very slow. We want efficiency. We want this. We want that." And then he started to bring in more people, because at the beginning when we went to finance team, they were like, "No, this is like confidential data, and we're not going to give any access to you." And I'm like, "Yeah, but we can help you. You can have a dashboard. You can have this and that." "No, it's confidential. We don't want it." But the moment we created certain return of investment, was sure, come. You see, it's just the way you frame it, the way you do it. And then with the COO, for example, we started to pitch the head of HR, the HR manager, to because they had an intern, right? And this intern was doing these reports, like attrition and hiring time, and this kind of hiring metrics for talent acquisition. And it was an intern every month in an Excel. She was just placing numbers from A to B, from one system to the other. Sometimes there were errors. We were trying to do a dashboard for the C-levels, and we were asking for this. And then we found this mess, right? That how they are doing it. And they were also migrating to another system. So we said, okay, look, we connect the API to this, and we can have automatic this data. Our BI developers, if you provide us a description, the formula, and everything that you need, we can create the data modeling for you. And then this will be directly in a Looker dashboard. What do you think? And we can update it for you every month. Or even for EMPS, so they run like every 3 months. We can get it from a company who does that for us directly, and then you have all the information every quarter, or every trimester, or something like that. So when we did this, the HR person was so happy, like, "Oh, okay, now we can use this intern for something else, right? And then we have now this automated, and it's easier because I download a PDF or I just share it and the people can see it, and this and that. Then another person from the central services, because it's more like marketing, these teams, were like, hey, I would like a sustainability, that now is trendy. I want a sustainability dashboard. It's going to take some time because we're just gathering data, but I'm interested. I want also what they had. And this is a part what the COO is under this team, right? So for her was like, I like it. And she was like, because I organized also an AI workshop for the C-levels. And she was like, I love what you did, and this and that, blah, blah, blah. I would like to have more contact with the data team. I think it's valuable that we can get this more automated efficiency. For them was more about efficiency. For the CFO is ROI. And if you go directly to the CTO or the CEO, usually you get pushback because for the CTO it's more about, saving maybe in technology or more about what product is going to be developed in software engineering. They usually don't see, if you don't have a CDO, they don't see data as a prio, or slightly. It's increasing now, but it's not a real prio. And for the CEO, he has better things about growth or going public or doing something else. So to the people that you can give immediate benefit, those are the C-levels you need to team up, because they will be like, okay, now finance, give access. These other teams, go to them. They will help you to do this and to do that. And that's how you increase, for example, adoption on the data platform, right? And if there are more C-levels, more people using this data platform, the other teams, the other silos will be like, look, maybe we should start working more with them and doing more things together, and the processes they are doing are working. Why don't we explore, for example, a data modeling tool that they have? And that happened with one of the verticals. They started to get, for example, data contracts that I was preaching, or DBT as a tool for data modeling, because they had Matillion, for example, and some other stuff. And now we are aligning more, even though they are in Snowflake with AWS and we're in GCP, but it's still, now we are getting more and more closer. The idea will be to have one data platform, but that might take time. And if you read around and if you study, you see that digital transformation, it might take up to 3 to 5 years to really happening. And we are on a journey right now of less than 2 years. So we have made a lot of steps, but sometimes you get so frustrated because you don't see results immediately. And you say, am I succeeding? Am I failing? What should be done next, right? And that's it gets in your head. So you have to be quite, focused and don't get discouraged, because otherwise could, affect your mental health quite a lot, because you feel you're not doing anything.
I love everything you're saying. I love it. I like that how you disentangled governance from strategy here. Strategy is, I want to accomplish that thing. I have a certain set of objectives, and here's how I think I should go about it. But the governments, or the misgovernments of data, already exist. Like, we're already trying to govern everything that we have. We might just be doing it in a cruder way, in a more brutish way. And what you're hoping to do when you enter into an organization is gain consensus that there's a better way to do this.
Yeah.
Reduce energy, reduce labor spend, reduce redundant processes and projects, and free up time for people to do higher level work so that they can
Exactly.
contribute to more meaningful projects or value generating activity, right?
Mm-hmm. And for example, in the new company that I'm joining next week, one of the questions that I got during the interview is like, how would you get support from the C-level, or how do you choose use cases, for them to really be part? Because as different from the previous company, the people were not really willing to do anything. But in this case, they really want to use data, but the data team is not able to translate this in a friendly way, or maybe to listen to their needs and see how they collaborate. But they want. So it might be, it's going to be a new experience because they are willing to. It might be a little bit easier, once you start talking to people and connecting, because then you have the other side, what I was before, where people is just like, no, data mesh, that sounds complicated. So we chop it up in data privacy, in data quality, and data ownership, just to bring, pieces little by little, and the people don't get scared. But basically, I'm going to do pretty much the same. Go talk to the heads, to the directors, speak to the C-level, try to understand the pain points, and try to find what are the long-hanging fruits, and work on those first, and then they will advocate also. And it's not going to happen like in 1 month. I know it's going to take some time, but we have to start somewhere, right? And then if we have at least a pipeline of use cases that might be relevant, we can start prioritizing depending on the needs and the allies that we are getting on the road, right? Because that's much easier, as I told you, when you come from top down than bottom up.
I really appreciate that you say and you frame all this in a long road. This is a long-term investment, 3 to 5 years at the minimum, and that may be shorter or longer, depending on the complexity or the size of the kind of organization that you're going into. But this is, you know, this is something I hear from people that have been working in enterprise for a very long time and try to institutionalize some sort of major change throughout the DNA of the organization. Change is going to take longer than what you would like it to take. And you're saying that be focused on the actions that you're taking and the little use cases and allies that you're building to create your case and slowly transition the direction of the organization. You have to be aware that this is a long-term investment. You're not going to get a quick payout. And I think that's what kills a lot of these initiatives. It's that some people are frothing at the mouth like a rabid dog. They're like, oh my God, data mesh, data governance, we have to do it today. If you don't do it, you're mistaken. If you don't do it, you're wrong. How are you supposed to build allies? How are you supposed to build a group of people to back you up and make an investment when there's no quick payout? If you're just rubbing off in the wrong way and telling people that they're doing things in the wrong way and being combative and not supporting their priorities, not supporting their initiatives, not supporting their careers. Because let's be clear, at the end of the day, you're doing this with people, through people. You can't do this by yourself. You are working alongside everybody else, but you're not the one head of this. You're a change agent.
Exactly. It's about the change that you can make, and if you are able to help these allies like on the C-level, then your ideas, your ideals, and what you would like to achieve is much easier to get them in the OKRs for the top management, and be able not to work only on data governance, but maybe you want I don't know, a new machine learning model that is going to predict some kind of leads or how to contact people, or let's say, I don't know, whatever, right? But that right now it's been deprioritized because there's something else. But if you have these allies, they will support you because you resolve something for them. So they believe in you already. And it's about credibility, right? And in the strategy, that's the thing. If you want your strategy to work, you need to have these allies to work in. It's Game of Thrones, it's chess game, it's about that. And for example, I mean, I as I told you, I love data quality. And I think data quality is not really prioritized in a lot of companies. It's getting more traction nowadays. But I remember when I started doing data quality, it was around 2013 for Wells Fargo Bank, actually in the States. And there was a team doing that, but it was really rare because at that moment there was not even data engineers, there was DBAs, and there was no BI developers. It was just the DBA doing these kind of things, right? And I really got like, okay, this is what it needs to be done, and it shouldn't be not only on a bank because there's money. It should be because everything else is important. And right now with the hype of AI, I see a lot of companies. I do mentorship, and also I do workshop and facilitators for consultancy and all these data topics, strategy, and things like that. And I have calls from startups, for example, calling me and telling me, look, I'm going to hire a data engineer. We don't have a data platform. We might get, I don't know, Postgres to store the data. I want to start doing AI today. How can I improve, skyrocket my sales using AI? Can you help me with that? And I'm like, excuse me. First of all, the poor data engineer will be overworked and burn out like in 3 months because he needs to do machine learning, pipelines, get the data platform, and they don't care about access, PII, GDPR, a lot of components, to have something strong. And something that I have seen lately with this AI hype is that people would like to move from data governance to and data strategy, and put the data strategy as an AI strategy, and then cannot be without the other. You need to have a strategy. You need to have clean data. You need to have processes on top of them. You need to have privacy, security, access management, also access to the data sets and a data catalog, hopefully, so people can understand, okay, look, maybe I'm from sales and I want to go there and I want to see what this means. Look, I saw maybe, I don't know, that let's say that Walmart has this machine learning carousel there and is recommending me this and that. Can we have something similar? Because I see that we have here some products and this might make sense. And then it's also business people now bringing ideas, but if you don't have enough quality, trash in, trash out, right? Then you're not going to have the right information. The customer is not going to feel like appeal. And then you spent a lot of money for something that no one is really using because it makes no sense. Or for AI, okay, I want a chatbot. And what do you do with that? Do you have enough information? Is it quality enough? What kind of tools are you going to use? Are you using ChatGPT for certain things? Are you using another LLM? You have to take in consideration a lot of things. But the first are things first, foundations, because without these foundations, you cannot have an AI strategy. How can you pretend to make money if you don't have enough of the foundations ready? If your data platform may be secondary, if your security is secondary. Something that I tell the people is, have you think about that, at least in Europe, is you get fines if there are some data, the payment services or some data leaked or some, like personal data that is not being agreed by the customer. They don't even think in that. They just want to see the money because they read on LinkedIn that AI is the new thing and you're going to get a lot of money out of it. And as an executive, you think, okay, that's what we need for the company. But you really need to have someone who, again, translates, okay, first, let's do an AI strategy. Let's mask it. You won't say that to the executive, but let's do. So first, we're gonna do this, and we're gonna put privacy, and we're gonna put a little bit of data quality because we need this to be at least 90% a model that is 90% usable to be able to put it on top, and then we're gonna see how much money we can make out of it. But you need to mask it because otherwise they will ask you immediately, build that chatbot like now. I want it because we're going to make money out of it. And they have no idea all the things that it's needed, right?
I think if we were to draw a parallel to this, it's sort of like, can you just run ads to get us more customers? Okay, is your strategy for marketing in place? Is your strategy for communication in place? Is your business strategy in place? Do you know where you're positioning yourself or who you're looking for? Just run ads. It's a series of concentric circles of priorities that need to be resolved before you can go and employ a tactic, right? AI strategy is a tactic that goes on top of data strategy and that goes on top of data governance, right?
Exactly. For example, look, I have this anecdote. Like, I was in charge to put together some workshops for the C-level for AI because they wanted the FOMO, blah blah blah, and also for the directors. It was to separate different, like 4 hours each one. So we have the first one where we had use cases, and I have to find out what was going on in the company. It was so incredible because none of the data teams, we have 5 data teams, including the data platform. Each one is around 15 to 17 people, and none of them were doing AI at all. Our data platform team were building up, all the infrastructure for that. and there was some a Slack bot for our team to answer questions and stuff, but nothing really fancy. And then I start to dig around, and I found the marketing team and communications team were hiring outsiders from the company to do AI stuff for them, or hiring external software, or doing things, and because they were really curious, they ran an AI workshop with all the team from marketing. And they were using a chat GPT, for example, for the posts on LinkedIn automated. They were using generated images, saving money, for example, for instead of doing shootings and this kind of thing. So they will generate all the images and videos and stuff like that. And I was so surprised because, from all the investigation that I did, it took me quite some time, because I had to go and ask everyone. These teams comms and marketing were the one who were using it the most, but they were not even asking for help to the data teams. And this connection, the lack of communication for me was so incredible that I was able to connect them, and people were happy to know that there is people actually on the data teams happy to support them, but they didn't know anything. And for me, that was like, okay, this because we don't have a good strategy, and we need to work on that, and team up with other people who's also interested in bringing things together and take it to the next level. And then, I run this other workshop for directors and heads, and I brought a very experienced lady for a workshop, on AI strategy and data strategy, because we needed an external facilitator, right? Just to have this done. She starts with a keynote. She starts with a workshop, and we finished. It was quite interesting, like, okay, what use cases do you think that make sense depending on the business unit and all that, right? And then out of the blue, I did a survey to see what the people thought about the workshop, because they had to do a lot of things hands-on with post-its and this and that for all the business people, because there was HR people, like from marketing and everything. And a lot of the comments I got in this survey was, we have seen that already. Is not what she said is nothing new, and we are already doing it. And that's not true. That's not true, because this is not really happening in the company at all. And that's why I brought her, because I needed them to understand from the business perspective what is needed to really go to AI. We cannot go just jump for the data strategy from the data platform, from having governance, just to go to AI. And the people complain about that they have heard that before. So why they are not applying it, right? And that's one of the biggest questions. And for me, that was like mind blowing in a way, right? And not surprised, of course, because it's enterprise, right? At the end of the day, but people is not really willing to follow. So that's why I told you need to mask sometimes how you frame data strategy for AI strategy and some other things, just to try to bring them to what they want. But you have to work for your own means.
It is a political game, and I think that's something that is missed heavily from the perspective of people that are deep in the trenches of technical initiatives. They think it's a technology problem, but that's the least of their worries. Someone's paying for that technology infrastructure. Somebody's paying for you to have your salary and have a bigger team and implement this across different functions in the organization. And if the incentives are not aligned, or the business case is not uh, clearly showing value for the different people involved in that decision making process, it doesn't matter if you have like the perfect solution. It won't be adopted, it won't be entertained, and budget won't be allocated for you to start building a bigger data platform or whatever. You act as a catalyst for pollinating these ideas across different parts of the organization, proving value, and just making things clear. I mean, I think in an organization, incentives sometimes aren't 100% aligned with the organization itself. People want to build their careers. People want to play or work with exciting technologies. People want to get a raise or a bonus for unlocking a new capability that is being talked about on LinkedIn. The FOMO is real, not just in high school, but also in the C-suite and the executive board. People want to be the cool kid on the block. Like, yeah, I invested AI and now we're 10xing our revenue. Okay. But things don't just magically happen.
Exactly. Exactly. And the thing I think that the way to sell the ideas first is, as I said before, having these allies, right? And understand their concerns and how you can collaborate, and they will be more willing to listen to you, because you have credibility now, and then you can explain them better. Like, hey, look, let's do some strategy to see where we can go to the end of the year. Let's say with AI, but we need to invest, for example, in a DBT cloud. Let's say we cannot keep using the free version because this one will give us some more plugins, some more stuff that we can do, for data quality and this and this and this and that. Because if we don't have quality, then the customers will complain that whatever the chatbot is saying is not true or might not run correctly, or then I think that we have to do measure and communicate the progress. And for example, usage of the data platform, how much increase, recovery from at the beginning, we sometimes when they drop this column and then a sales dashboard is broken and we don't know the backend did it right, and then we take time trying to figure out what happened. It may take sometimes a week until we fix that. But now you know who's the owner, where it came from. There are data contracts on top, and then a fixing will take maybe 1-2 hours the most. And you can put that as a metric as well for business, that how it used to impact the sales team, for example, and now they are not impacted. So you have there another allies that you can have because they are happy for this. Also address cultural concerns. Just show the benefits that other stakeholders are enjoying. For example, with a monetization team, they were getting like very nice. I mean, since they used to have 4 or 5 definition of leads, now they have just one. They have numbers that really match what they were looking for. They collaborated with the use case and also with the test cases to make sure everything is fine. And I have a monetization team from other teams coming to me and saying, "Hey, Amy, I want what they have. How can I make it happen? Can you help me?" And I'm like, "Well, we need to speak with the people from your team, because there is a head of data engineering there, a head of BI there. Yeah, let's do it because I'm interested. I want to work with you, and whatever you did for them, I want you to do it for me." I'm like, okay, perfect. And then you initiate these conversations, right? Lead by the example. I mean, in the data we own as a data platform team, we implemented the processes with tangible examples on how to do things, how to do data quality, metadata management, for example, these kind of things, and showcase how we help HR, as I told you, or finance, or these kind of things. Education and training, event stormings, for example, to understand what are the sources, and if there is a problem, for example, with Salesforce, when you source the data from there, what happens. Gamifications, it sounds silly, but a gamification makes so much for people to want to learn. So, for example, the adoption of data catalog is a very expensive one, the one we had, and we might not get a sponsorship for the next one, so we needed to adopt, to get more adoption. So I created some games where and I couldn't implement it at the end because I didn't have enough time because I was moving. But the idea was to have this leaderboard, who used it the most, who put the best definitions in the data catalog, who used these kind of things. And then the winner team, let's say sales, they get a pizza party, or they get a t-shirt from the vendor or something like that. And they are like, "Oh yeah, I love it," because something silly, but people is happy about getting some incentives, right? And executive buy-in, when you have all this stuff done, you can illustrate this progress to the executive. So then you go to these meetings and they will see how you will show the examples that are closely aligned to these company goals, if they have it, right? And then they will be, okay, it sounds good. And that's, these political games are the one that makes the difference, or showing metrics that will bring value added, not only on the product side, but on the revenue or efficiency, as I mentioned before.
One thing I think it's particularly important for the audience, anybody listening to this podcast, to understand is for somebody to claim this title of data governance expert or leader. I mean, you need to have a proven track record of being able to negotiate with all these interrelated sides of the business, of technical implementation, of education. I mean, you hear Amy just like rapid fire all the things that she does, and she's executing it very well at a high level because she's been doing this in incrementing circles of responsibility. I mean, what are some signs of people that you might have come across in your public speaking event career, anywhere in this industry, that they claim this level of expertise, but they don't champion proper change?
Yeah, I have seen quite a lot, and it's something that I really hate when I go to conferences, for example. Talking about data mesh, for example, and they are like, "Oh, everything was so easy, and rainbows and cats, and we have a happy ending, and the leprechaun gave me some money," and that's not true. It's so hard. And I was once in one Google event. We were listening to a German company who were talking about it, and they were like, "It was easy. We had the domains and catalog and this and this and this and that." And I was with a guy from Pfizer next to me, and we looked to each other and we were like, and he was also. And then we started to make questions, right, to her. And she was panicking. She didn't want to answer. She was like, as the data engineer. And then, no, but from product perspective, we want to know this and this and that. And she was, well, I got there and it was already like that. So I was like, okay, but I want to know the pain points. And that's why I talk about the pain, right? And I have seen many people as well. They try to advertise maybe a product talking about data governance, which happens a lot. But I like to connect with people that actually is being going through hell, and exchange this expertise. That's why I have a monthly roundtable on data mesh and data governance with another folks that I know from Sweden, Belgium, and UK. And we have different topics every month, like data ownership, or, for example, federated governance or data platforming. And we have many people who is starting in this journey, or they already have some time, and we share our experiences together, because I think that's the way you're going to learn. But there is a lot of people claiming that they know what they're talking about. And sometimes when I hear it in paid conferences, in paid ones that are expensive, saying things that I'm like, dude, did I really pay for this? Because you're not giving me here the hard truth. I want to hear the pain and your examples and how we can solve things, not how good it was, or maybe some generic problem. So
We need to talk to the people that experience hell. I think that's the highlight of this episode. It appears to me that you've experienced a lot of hardships then,
oh
for
yeah.
you to cultivate all this knowledge and experience and uh, guides and instincts. I mean, you sort of get an idea when something's going to work or not, or how to approach it front or through the side, or sneak it with a mask. It's one big political Game of Thrones episode, right?
Yeah. And you're going to fail. I mean, let's be honest. You're going to fail miserably many times. And that's what I told you. You're going to wonder, what am I even doing here? This is so painful. And am I even going to do it? And you sabotage yourself. And that's what I told you. Keep the eye on the road, like the horses, right? Don't see, because you see burning, some fire here, some earthquake there, the volcano. Then, and you're just like, no, 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 let's keep walking. And you will learn, the next time you do it, even in your same company. Okay, I brought the solution, they don't want it. What can I do next to make it happen? Okay, let's do it, implement it on my team. Or let's just bring them, this is the guide, you can take it. Or what I told you, let's listen to what they have, and let's combine it and make it together. You try and fail, try and fail. I'm really excited about my new job and what I'm going to encounter there, because I don't know the people. I don't know how resistant they are, if it's going to be easier, if it's going to be harder. And it's a larger organization. I mean, from 1,000 to more than 10,000. And let's see how it goes, right? It's scaling even more, but I'm really excited because not every company is going to be the same. There are a lot of challenges that are similar, but you have to learn again how to go into this path without getting disappointed about the situation.
Who should reach out to you, and for what?
Yeah, I mean, you can always follow me on LinkedIn. I'm also doing consultancy for people who would like to have workshops, hands-on workshops with the teams to find out what could be the best data strategy, architecture for data platform, and and also, event storming to understand your sources and create domains and data products. So I have several type of things. So you can contact me on LinkedIn. I also have a TopMate account where you can book a discovery session for data strategy and see how I can assist you. And I mean, I'm in a lot of podcasts and events here and there. Just send me a message. Will be lovely to connect and also to learn from your pains and bad things. But yeah.
And some of the problem cases that you've encountered in your career in the last 24 months that maybe people are going through, can you describe some of that stuff?
I think everything that we spoke today in the last hour.
That covers about everything, right?
Yeah, because I heard a lot of it, like how do I get executive buy-in in these roundtables, for example? How do you get to get a sponsorship for more, I don't know, software in the data platform? How to talk to people who's rejecting to follow whatever the data platform wants? Data contracts. How do you enforce it? Those are part of the things that I talk a lot about. I can give you a consultancy and help you out with. So feel free to reach out and we can have a discovery call.
Well, Amy, it's been wonderful having you, and I hope people are richer for getting a real, no sunshine, rainbows, kittens, cotton candy, just a real perspective of what it takes to navigate this complex initiative. It is not something for the faint of heart, and it is not something that you're going to be able to do in a 3 to 6 month proof of concept. You have to be hammering at this day in, day out for 3 to 5 years. It's not without its merits. You'll get new capabilities, and you'll be able to save money, so you can articulate your ROI in stages. But for you to see the magical enterprise that's half automated and just doing cool stuff, that's going to take some time. Um,
Exactly. And also the learnings that you get as a professional, it's quite rewarding. When you see people happy with the processes, with the things that you have done, I cannot tell you after suffering and not seeing anything. And when you see someone like really preaching from what you just said or advocating for you or happy about it, then you feel like, oh, my kids, they grew up.
Thank you, Amy.
Thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure.
Likewise.